Hello, my loves. We are back. Welcome to When We Heal, where we talk about everything mental health and the people that's going through it. Today, again, I'm happy to have my friend on to talk about mental health and how to find your higher self and get back to yourself. So, I'm excited. Go ahead and click to join if you can. It won't let me pull you up.
Hello, hello. Can you hear me?
Go.
Yeah,
Yes, I can hear you. Can't
I
hear
don't know
me?
what happened with that. It didn't even like what? Yeah.
You know, Instagram be doing what
I
Instagram do,
said,
and they
you
want
feel
you
me?
to
I
put,
was like, man, but
you know,
same people.
you know. Yes. Um. So go ahead and introduce yourself. I just gave you a little bit of introduction, but go ahead and introduce yourself
Okay.
to the people.
I am Grandmaster Bay. I'm an energy coach. I do a lot of work with energy breathing exercises, and the purpose of them is to target mental health issues, but you can also use them for just regular spiritual growth and mental growth, physical growth, growth in general. But the purpose of it is to target and help people who are, I want to say, I would like to, I say dealing, but I don't want to say dealing with. Uh, more infected by, because I feel like a lot of the mental health issues is more of it's something that grows and get out of control, not like a virus or something that spreads, it's not just it don't start off as just one big monster, that's not what it is. It's something that gradually becomes bigger and bigger and bigger over time until you start noticing it because it's messing up your life. So the purpose of it is to get back, or well, what I try to get people to be on is to get back to where the foundation of these issues start. And then when you deal with the source of the issue, it's easier for you to gain control over everything that issue is affecting in your life. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And I like what you said. I made a post on one of my other platforms that I use about that. Um, because I've seen a recent video of a guy talking about his
Mm,
transition to the carceral and, and basically what I was just shedding light on, like people don't just end up in prison. Like there's a whole list of things that happen
yeah.
before they get there. And it's the same thing with mental health, where if you look at the things that happen with people, mental health breakdowns, the things that happen, within our bodies, all those things, it doesn't just happen. Like it's just not like, oh, one day it just happens like that, unless you're like born with something. And even that is a progression through your bloodline, but it's still like if you trace it back, there are receipts that show like this happened, that happened, and then boom, um, we are where we at right now
Yeah,
with mental
that's
health.
basic though, because it's not just it's a passed on thing, especially a lot of, that's why I say it's more of like an infection, a disease, because it, even though it is psychological, a lot of it is connected to the emotions, but it's a lot of habits is stuff that we pass down, or that we just receive from um, those who came before us, and it may not be something like
Right.
your depression, but if your mother or your father, let's say they was just, they had a habit of them being sad, for most of their life, especially when they created you, then a lot of that is passed on to you, in your genetics. That's when you start dealing with epigenetics and dealing with the things that we get or that we're receiving in our DNA, So, man, it's important
Right.
to see what it is, analyze it, and if you could form a solution to get rid of it, or try to at least mold it into something that is more beneficial for your life, and instead of it messing up your life. So, yeah.
Right. And so let's talk a little bit more about that. Like, how do we get to that point? Like, how do we get to that point in our, either in our DNA or um, in our daily habits, to where we are dealing with mental health issues?
So I say after you schedule it out and you analyze what it is that you have to work on, you find the source of that issue. You got to start putting in the work to, go move in reverse or move forward. And you can, it's multiple ways you can go about this, all kinds of different ways, because it's not a one thing works for everyone, and it's not a
Right.
it's not a just one solution. There's all kinds of ways to approach it. You could dive straight in, or you can build your way up, but you just got to acknowledge it and get in there, and start doing the work. So now, before you start doing the work, like when you're doing anything, for example, like if you're going to the gym, you got to be in that space. You lift weights and you build your muscle in the environment where you lifting, and you working on that muscle. You in the gym, you an athlete, you in the boxing ring, running. You feel me? You doing whatever it is so you can do that, that routine and that workout for that what you're doing. Same thing for the mental. You have to create that space that is, you're not gonna be distracted. You're not gonna have a barrage of negative thoughts that's beating you up while you're trying to either concentrate on creating these positive actions or this positive mental routine for you. You have to create the space, no interruptions, because anything like if you're working out, if you don't get through that workout, you're not gonna get that full benefit, and you are going to be dealing with pain, so you have to analyze that, while you going through it, because you gotta deal with what it is that is causing you to be the way that you are. And the deeper thing about it is, when you're thinking about, okay, so back to the working out, it's when you're working out, it's physical, it's in your face, it's tangible. When you're dealing with the mental health, it's subtle, it's invisible, it's there, but you can't put your hands on it, but it's just as real. So you have to be aware when it is even happening before it happens. So you got to keep your eyes on trigger points, because if you're not aware of the trigger points or the things that is setting off that alarm clock, then it's going to be hard for you to stop that alarm clock, while it's happening, So you got to analyze what it is that's causing your issues. Then you have to put yourself in an environment to where you can watch those issues, So that's why you don't need any distractions, because you're trying to pay attention to something so subtle. You're trying to pay attention. You're trying to catch something transparent, basically. And you're going to need a lot of focus for that, But you don't got to spend a couple of hours meditating, in a park or with the monks or nothing. It just take like 5 minutes a day. If you can even get to 5 minutes, you just got to get to that space where mentally you're not really thinking about anything, or you thinking about what you want to be focused on, but you have control over your mind. So once you get control over your mind, then you can get control over your emotions, but you got to start with that. And after you start with 2 minutes to 5 minutes, then you go to 10 minutes, then you go to 30 minutes, then you go to an hour, if you can get it to that. But you first got to analyze what it is you're dealing with, create the space, and then start actually acknowledging it, and that's when the fun really, really starts.
Yeah, I love that, and I think it's important to note that that is like the first part of doing the work, because I think we hear a lot of times like do the work.
But what is the work?
What is the work?
You can't do something if you don't know what you're doing, and then even if you do, it's you got to know that you're doing it correctly. Because that's why I love using the analogy of working out in the gym, because you can just get in the gym and just start doing anything, but you can also fuck yourself up, you know. And it's important to know
Right.
what you're doing before you start engaging in it, because mentally you can do the same thing. Like you know, it's know what you're doing, you know, so you don't do anything incorrectly to harm yourself. But fortunately for this, it's kind of hard to do more damage to yourself, you know, than with this. I
I don't know
mean,
about,
okay, it depends. It depends. It depends. It
I don't know
depends.
about that.
If you just dealing with yourself, then yes. You know, if you just dealing with what's in your own closet and your own skeletons and your own, you either fight, flight, or freeze. You know, you either finna do one of the two or three. But if you're dealing with outside things to put you in that state, then it becomes a an issue. Like if you're trying to, a lot of people with, especially right now, when they try and cope with a lot of things, they'll revert to a substance. You know, it'll be they try and drink it away, they try and smoke it away, they try and pop it away, they try and sex it away, they try and do everything but acknowledge it. And if you try to do that and then get into this, yeah, you may have some worse results than if you had to just left it alone. But if you just get into it, and it's kind of hard for it to backfire, because you are basically just acknowledging the stuff that you dealt with and letting it go, or moving forward, or putting it in its proper place. It's not controlling you, like none of these things are a bad or a good thing. They just, it is what it is. You gonna feel happiness like you gonna feel sadness. You gonna feel anger like you gonna feel excitement. You get what I mean? You gonna feel bored at times. You gonna feel like, oh, I don't feel like doing nothing. This is natural, because it's a part of you. It's there in life. The issue is when you don't have control over it. The issue is when the environment is putting it on steroids, so making it bigger than what it needs to be. And the issue is when your shit starts affecting other people. Like if it was those things, then it probably wouldn't be as bad as what it is. But that ain't the case. So
Yeah, and I think it's we also have to take into consideration like the process, because that process can also be harmful. Like not everybody is ready to get to that space, which is why I think is important that you say like do things gradually, and also to have these tools to use, because not everybody is ready to enter that space, and that's okay too. Have a different journey on that, but like once you get in it, and like you said, you know why you're doing it, you're able to be intentional about how you move
asking the
while
question
you're
is
doing
important.
it.
But that's also why I say, man, it's the process. You got to create the space. You gotta know what it is that you about to do. Like know what it is that's bothering you, and then get ready to deal with it. You want things to be in your favor. Because this is not something that's going to be instant. It's not a quick fix, and it's not something that's just going to be easy. The bigger something is, the harder it is. You get what I mean? But the bigger it is, the harder it is, the greater the reward. So you gotta know, you gotta come in there with a game plan. You gotta come in there like ready to say, man, this, I want to deal with this. Like I in control of me. You can't let, if you want to give up your power, it ain't gonna work. Because these things will run you. So you gotta really, man, take your life by, you gotta gain control of it, and you gotta be intentional. Or yeah.
Yeah. there no intentionality, and wasn't so good for me, you know. So I had to think with intention. Now because it can. I talked about this on a different live, but like on my Wednesday live, but like it can be the crux between life and death if you're not intentional about life, like how you're moving forward. And crazy enough as it is, some people don't do that.
Some people don't want
And,
to move forward.
and
You got to want to move forward.
exactly,
You can't, like, that's why you got to know before, like, everybody is going to deal with mental health issues because the sun shines on everyone. But the thing is, are you ready to move forward, or are you like, nah, I'm cool where I am? If you cool where you are, and you know, it's like, hopefully you can hear me. I don't know where that came from in the back, but weeds. All right, we might have to take this inside. Desert got real random.
They don't want the message to be out.
I'll come back to the sunshine in a little bit. But, yeah, it's important to know, do you want to deal with this? Because if you don't feel like you're confident about what you're about to do, or you don't really want to solve these problems, then it's not going to happen. You got to want to solve the problem. Like, that's just what it is with this. You got to want to solve the problem. And you got to be serious, and you got to be dedicated. You got to be focused. Like, we don't know so much about these vessels as far as on a physical level, like our bodies, our anatomy. But when you start everything that has, everything about the body, and the mental is a big part of it. And it's a difference between your mental, the way you think, and the way that your hardware operates compared to the programs that's running. So, that I think people also need to understand that it's a difference between your psychology and your mentality. You feel me? So people think it's the same thing. It's not the same thing. You feel me? Don't make that mistake. So.
Yeah, and that just brought up something for me. That reminds me, like, your brain, breath, and water hydration, intake is life, and because we're like being attacked on all of those levels, it makes it more hard for you to
part of the reward. But that's why I said that the reward got to be important.
Yeah, but it's hard for you to know who you are, which brings back to like our topic of like finding your higher self. Because if your gut, which is your second brain, is being attacked, and your mind is being attacked through social media and things like that, and then we have these GMO foods and the water ain't good, how is it, because there's a process that you can go through, but I want you to let us know, like, how can we get to a place where we're utilizing these tools to fight back and gain back our mental health?
Man, my program is a micro macro thing, as above, so below, as within, so without. I feel you got to analyze the problem first, and even when you're dealing with like the things that you just named, we know that it's a lot of funny business going on. How long has this funny business been going on for? Like, if you think about everything that you just touched on, okay, we starting with the diet. How do we get our diet? What is our diet? What the difference between, and this is why I say we don't study our vessels. We don't know how this thing really works, because it's not, if we did, we'd pay more attention to the things that we put inside of it. It's like a vehicle. It's like, and the whole food processing game, like that's not that old, you know. Like if you go back to the 60s to the 50s, the foods or the things that we would consider food now wasn't even invented. You get what I mean? And it's not like the fruit
Right.
is here. You know, the things that's been here and that is natural has been here. Even if you, and I'm not saying you really got to be hardcore, you know, vegan or whatnot, but that's been around for a long time. You know, it's everything that's been here that we
Mm-hmm.
digest and we deal with has been provided for us. But a lot of the man-made stuff, when once stuff started becoming tampered with, and then it started messing up what it does, you know. So you got to get back to
Right.
man,
Can't
right?
find a single
You know,
fruit
so
with a
where did
seed
that
in
come
it.
from? You got to get back to these, and you touch on that in every aspect when you're dealing with health, when you're dealing with your environment. Because you got to deal with the. It's like you know how back in the day when you used to get a board game, you had to read the instructions to the board game. And sometimes when you read the instructions to the board game, you
Right.
will read the title, you will read the manufacturer company, you'll read all of the, you know, the people, oh, like, oh man, founder, you know, all of that. Even though you wasn't necessarily looking for that information, you was just looking how to play the game. But you read it and you found out all
Right.
those things that went with it. Same thing with this, you know. You need to know who put what in place and what are those things exactly what they are in place, you know, and how does that affect you? You get what I mean? It's like I said, it's not an easy, this ain't an easy thing. This work. You feel me? It's work to find out, okay,
Right.
I need to focus on my minerals, I need to focus on my vitamins because you are, and that goes back to you knowing how your body is. The minerals deal with the what's creating the electric field because you are an energetic magnetic being. You know, you're animated. The electricity is flowing through your body. You know, so how do you feed that electricity, which
Right.
is also will lead to you gaining to your higher self? You know, you have to put in the right components to strengthen that electric magnetic field. You know, that's why the minerals are important and also vitamins. But when you break down the vitamins, they just turn into minerals. You feel me? With some added shit like zinc and calcium, magnesium, all of that. But that is important for, you feel me, creating a magnetic field, you know? And if you
Right.
know how your body operates, you know how to feed your body, you know what to do for your body. So then you are eliminating some of the things that are out here that is doing harm to your body. You get what I mean? So once you start putting things in your body that is for you, then your mind starts to change the program. Your psychology starts changing. And because the psychology is running a different program, it's being installed in the mind. So now the mind is changing. You feel me? So it went from you trying to do something different to this different thing becoming a habit. And this habit is being etched in your DNA. It's changing your DNA. It's changing your molecules. Everything about you is changing. So now
Yeah.
the environment that is causing issues is not affecting you as much because you're changing the program. You get what I mean? You thinking different. You feel me? And when you start thinking different, you start operating differently, and you gaining more control over your, especially your emotions and your psychology, because you are. And again, this is why it's important to know yourself. A lot of people who deal with anger, they deal with um, heightened levels of cortisol, you know, from your adrenal glands. So
Yeah.
again, it's all chemistry. You feel me? But again, it's all your body. Again, where it comes from, what you put in your body, that boosts it up and throws off the balance. Now, the adrenaline things are spiked. It's not good. It's not bad. It's there for you. The purpose of it is for survival. You're dealing with your root area. You feel me? You're dealing with your red zone. You feel me? You have to be able to survive, protect yourself, and to interact with the environment when there's danger around. If it's a fire, if it's a flood, if it's because natural things, you feel me? Natural things before even man-made shit. this is how your body was supposed to operate. Now, the problem is when it's being spiked every day, multiple times out the day on something like, you stressed out because your bills is due. You stressed out because you got problems with your relationship. You stressed out because your kids is getting in trouble at school. You stressed out because you feel me, something's going on wrong with your car while you're trying to get to work. You stressed out because you at the light waiting and somebody is blowing their horn at you, And it's just a lot of different things. Your cortisol levels are consistently spiking. You get what I mean? They're not. Your body is not meant for that. You're supposed to spike when it's time for spiking. You feel me? So you can operate like that. But when it's consistently spiking, you out of balance. So you are going to respond to that
right.
how you would, and now you label with anger management because you get what I mean. It's all a chemical balance.
Mm-hmm.
You got to know what it is that you balancing, and if you already had a heightened sense of that from when you was young dealing with it, then it's on steroids now. And then if it's something that is hereditary and it's been passed down, it's even more outrageous. You get what I mean? So you gotta analyze stuff on that kind of level so you can deal with it effectively and efficiently. You get what I mean? Because that's all what it's about. And when you start doing that, then the environment that's set up for you to be doing bad and set up for these things to, you feel me, really push you out and keep you on the wheel, it's not affecting you as much. It's not doing as much damage. So it's fighting back, because the more people that do it, the less power it hasn't happened, and that's where you start seeing the changes. You get what I mean? I be having long rants.
And I think spoke on like it being hereditary, and I always talk about this, but I think it's important in this conversation to speak about it too. We're talking to you about
I think they do.
what they're going, because a lot of times we don't know that we have a family history, or that people in our like close proximity to us are dealing with the same things that we dealt with, and like, oh, this pattern, because we don't have those conversations, what it looks like for them, like mental health wise, or the things that they've been through. And for the people that can't and aren't able to get that, I think it's also important for them to advocate for themselves in the health field to get those tests done, because you never know what is lingering in your DNA, and you're just out of habits. Like, I tell a story about how I didn't know that the women in my family had low hormone balance. I was the first one to find this out, and I had found that out through a conversation that I had with someone else, that it was a thing. And since I was able to find that out, I've been able to tell other women in my family, and they've been able to, help themselves. But if I wasn't to have that conversation, and if I didn't like started the conversation with the women, like, do you deal with this? Is this a thing? Then they wouldn't have known. Like, now we can break that generational curse of what comes with it, so that we can tell each generation, like, this is what's happening, this is how you deal with it. When it's, around these times, it's going to spike up, flare up, things like that. But without those conversations, you just don't have that information.
You gotta know what it is that you're dealing with before you start dealing with. You can't just start engaging. Like, I mean, you can, but you're putting yourself at a disadvantage. So it's like, I don't know. You gotta definitely be prepared, and you have to know, the more information you have, the better. So it's
Yeah, and then so I want to talk about, like, how do we utilize these things to get to our higher self?
So personally,
well, to become more, I should say, become more in tune with our higher self.
So you got to spend a lot of time with yourself. Start spending a lot of time with yourself and start cleaning your vessel. You know, you got to start removing blockages that's blocking and hindering you from that communication. And you got to be able to put yourself in a place to where you can actually pay attention to the message that's going to come through. Because the message ain't going to be like a verbal one. It's not going to come in the form of conversation. You just got to, you will feel when, you know, when you having that communication, you know? And breathing, your diet, uh, working out. And I'm not saying you just got to be hardcore in the gym or a bodybuilder, but like old school PE, you know, 15 to 30 minutes a day, that'll happen for you. Because you just want to get your heart beating, get your blood flowing. When you get your blood flowing, you get the energy flowing. You know, and when the energy is flowing, the connection is strengthened. So because you're trying to make a long call, you know. Do they got long distance calls anymore?
Yeah.
Are they still considered long distance or what? I don't even know. Because you know, like back in the day when you used to call, it would be considered a long distance call. But I'm like, I don't even know if that exists now. Oh my God, they came back.
Well, I guess so. Like WhatsApp, they have
Keep going
long
back and
distance
forth
calls.
because the people, man, I'm just trying to get some sunshine. And my daughter's supposed to be asleep, but I don't think she's asleep. She ain't asleep.
You
But
know,
I
she
ain't
not
trying to be
sleep.
hella extra loud though. But I ain't trying to be too loud,
Right.
so you can actually hear me. Da-da-da-da-da. But yeah, so that's important. You know, you gotta you definitely need to spend time with yourself and be aware of the subtle things. Like everything about this is just subtle. Like and it's something that just
Mm-hmm.
take time. It's not an instant thing. I think so many people, because of the way our society is set up, so many people just used to the instant fix. This ain't no instant fix. Like you can't instant this. Even if you want, you got a better chance of getting $1 million in the lottery. You know, but this is not an instant thing,
A
man.
small loan
Seriously,
of $1 million.
like you gotta go through the work. You have to. You literally have to go through the work. You have to. It's not no ifs and whats about it. You have to. You have to put in time. You have to put in the dedication. You have to do the work. You have to do the research. You have to do. You have to do the. You know, even though it's not complicated. You know, it's not hella hard. The hard part is the time. You know, a lot of people don't have the
Yeah.
dedication to themselves like they do to, getting up and go to work. If you put in that same kind of dedication, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen quickly, you know.
Right, but that's an excuse because I think it's more so a mindset, right?
Yeah,
Because it becomes a habit. We created these habits that now shaped our mindset to the things that we're not supposed to do. So we'll do the things that we're not supposed to do regardless of how it makes us feel all the time. Like it doesn't matter. We're going to put those hours into the
yeah,
things that we're not supposed to do. But when it comes to something that we are know that'll make us better, know that this is something that I need but
mm,
I'm not really ready for or whatever, we will make every excuse in the book of why it's like it can't
facts.
happen for us. And I think it's just like I said, creating a new mindset of like this is going to happen for me
Yeah,
regardless, and I'm on this journey. It's a journey. It's not going to happen overnight, and it is small steps. But the first step is just doing it. Like the first step is doing one of those steps. The first step is just telling your mind that like, yeah, this is what I want, and continuing to push for the thing that you want, regardless of
yeah, facts.
if you make a mistake or not. Because I think like that's the part that people like, oh, we see these gurus and everybody
But
living this zen life and what
it
it's
don't look
supposed
like
to
that.
look like,
It's not
and
that.
it's really not that. Like it's really hard.
Yeah.
It's really curling up in a ball. It's really like
But the
you
more
you
you
struggling,
start doing the
stressed
work, the
out,
less. And
and
I'll give another example. I'm gonna show you something on my thing. So I'll be doing the trading with with like forex and stocks and crypto and everything. So I'm gonna show you something that it go with it because, like I said, that macro micro thing and Elsa being so with the below, all of that is applied to everywhere. So hang on, let's see. Can I do that? Can I? Oh yeah, bam, there we go. All right, so you know how the charts go, yeah or nay, but I'm breaking it down anyway. So you have the charts that look like this, and this goes off of time. It's a currency pair. It's the Australian dollar and the Japanese yen. So with these crypto markets, stock markets, financial markets, and everything, the way it works is it swings, it's up and down, it's cycles, you know? And even when you're dealing with your mental health, you're gonna have good moments where you're going high, and you're gonna have bad moments when you're going low, you know? And you don't know exactly when these moments are gonna come. You get what I mean? But if you are analyzing your habits and your patterns in your past, then you will have a good point to position yourself if something happens that triggers that scenario for you. So I just showed you that to show you that, like, it's this the way you operate, man, is so, if you just watch nature and just watch other things in general, you will see a lot of yourself in that once you start paying attention, and really start going within.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's why I say it's not a bad thing that you have your mood swings, but if you don't know how to deal with them, or if you're not in control of it, then it does become a bad thing. It's natural. It's going to be impossible to go through life and not get upset. It's impossible to go through life and something not happen that it affects you, even if it's not directly affecting you, even if it's indirectly affecting you, like COVID. You may have not caught COVID, you feel me? But COVID shut down the whole fucking planet. So even though it had nothing to do with you necessarily, you know, there's other things that can happen that can affect you. And if you're not in the proper position mentally, to be aware of it, then it can throw you off, you know. So I think that's
Oh, and if it causes
yeah,
you emotion, then it's affecting you. Because I think we tend to brush that off, like, oh, whatever. Like,
yeah,
no, if it causes you emotion, it's affecting you. Just like a lot of people don't know, like, you can be indirectly
yeah,
traumatized. Like, everybody was traumatized from COVID, even if you got it or not. Everybody was traumatized from 9/11. Y'all wasn't even in New York. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are different tiers of being traumatized. There's different tiers of things that affect us in the way that it affect us. And once we know that we have an emotion
yeah. But
about it, it got
see,
to be
that's also
addressed.
too why it's important to start doing these things and going in and knowing how you work, because then you don't be affected by the stuff. You may be come across you, but it's just like, yeah, whatever. Your ship gonna sail regardless of what's happening. You get what I'm saying? And you gotta have that kind of you gotta you really got to analyze yourself, and you got to know yourself, but then you got to get to the history of know how things work out here. Because when you know how things work out here, it's really hard to be emotionally attached and moved to, you feel me, because you know what it is. You get what I mean? A lot of people are affected because they don't know what it is. If you don't know what it is, then you're going to be feeling some type of way. But you will feel less some type of way when you know what it is. You get what I mean? Because it's not a shock, it's not a surprise. And if
Right.
9 times out of 10 you was prepared for it because you already know what it is, you get what I mean? It starts becoming a whole lot
Mm-hmm.
less complicated. You know, even if it's set up to be complicated as fuck, it becomes a whole lot less. But yeah, that's just the thing.
Right. Right. So I also wanted to talk about getting
Mm.
into the breath work. So run us through a little bit about what breath work is, how does it work, and
Okay,
the
so
benefits of it.
um, the purpose well, what breath work is in general. Let's go back to what I know and what I feel. Well, for again, this is on my personal theories, but also based off of stuff that I have come across. Breath or chi, in the Eastern, a lot of Eastern philosophies, ki, prana, mana, life force, all of that. In a lot of
Mm-hmm.
Eastern cultures, spirit just means breath. That's all what it is. So spirituality is just a breathing game. It's a you are putting yourself in a different state by using breath work. Or they call it qigong, breath work. So by applying different breathing exercises, because you got so many different ways that you could breathe, you change um, the chemicals. You change the reactions in your brain, different chemical reactions. Give different chemical reactions causes different neurological responses. Because different receptors is coming on. So you are shifting your mentality or your state of mind. You're going from alpha to beta to delta to theta, different things, different waves, way more frequency, in these different states that let you tap into different things like your higher self by being into these patterns, you know. It's so
Mm-hmm.
the breathing exercises are designed for you to put yourself into those states. Like, for example, a common breathing exercise is, I believe, the 4-7-6. So you're supposed to do that when your cortisol levels are spiking, or what they say when you get angry, or when you just need to take a moment to breathe. They have you do that. Breathe in for 4 counts, hold it for 7 counts, and exhale for 6 counts. Me personally, I like to do 4-9-8, or you can switch it around. Like, I also like to do 9-9-8-4. When you play with the numbers, you have different reactions. You can breathe multiple different ways, like more ways than I could probably count, and the different combinations have different results on you. So do you just start playing around and doing it, you find out which goes where. Then that's why the 4-7-6 is used for that. But another example, um, let's say, wait, is this PG-13 or no? Or no, not cussing.
Like,
I'm
you
just
gonna
saying I was
cuss?
gonna talk yay or nay,
Yeah.
because talking relationships wise.
Yeah.
Or okay, because
Oh,
okay, so if you have an intercourse, and you have an orgasm, your breath is different. You get what I mean? Your breathing pattern. So breathing patterns put you in different states when you are orgasm is building and you are interacting like that. You are in a kind of hypnotic, euphoric state, like ecstasy. These chemicals,
mhm.
endorphins. You get what I mean. So
Right.
breathing patterns, some breathing patterns can mimic that, and if you mimic that, you mimic that by um, getting those chemical reactions and getting those responses, in your body. You know, so um,
Hmm.
it just depends on what state of mind that you're trying to be in. I like to break it down for when you're dealing with mental health as it's an upper or a downer. Which one are you dealing with? When people is hyper, they angry, they too up. They gotta calm down and bring it down. If you depressed, you sad, you gotta bring it up. You get what I mean? So it just
Hmm.
depends, because everything don't fit for all. So you just got to work towards
Right.
off of what it is that you're trying to accomplish.
Oh yeah, I like that. Especially I find that like the deeper breaths, like I always recommend everybody you take deep breaths throughout the day. And I like the 9 one, the 9 That's for me. But like, of course, figure out what works for you. But like a lot of people are dealing with anxieties, and like you said, spike cortisol, but that is our body going into fight or flight, and your breathing is
So
90%
you
of
huffing and
that.
puffing.
And because
You huffing and puffing. You fire
huh?
breathing.
No,
Oh,
most people are
no,
holding their breath.
people they be
So
mad and exploding. They be
yeah, I mean that's like when you're hyperventilating and stuff.
no. I'm
But
talking
most
about
people,
you know how like if somebody get mad before they be like
even in that state where
you know like a bull.
yeah, but like your breath are being restricted. So you're not fully taking belly breaths. Like your breath doesn't go all the way to your belly, and we're not releasing fully out of our lungs. So that causes your body to go into a state of fight or fight, which is why people don't think straight when they're upset, which is why when you're having anxiety, sometimes it feels like you're about to die, or like, your heart starts beating faster because now it's giving you all of this adrenaline so you can stay alive. Like your body thinks that there's something wrong with you. And so being able to take a moment and truly actually give yourself that big deep belly breath and let it all the way out is so important, because you're telling your body like it's safe, like I'm cool.
Yeah, it's definitely that, and that's what I was meaning as far as like like you said when you are holding it in, and I was saying like the huff and puffing, it's just not you're not getting a full breath,
Mm-hmm.
Regardless, that's why I was
Yeah.
saying earlier,
Yeah.
there's many ways to one thing, but it's still always gonna be the same foundation. What is the correlation between the two? You ain't getting the full breath, It's just like what is the solution?
Right.
The solution,
Breathing. Yeah, because even fast breathing, you could be doing
huh?
fire breaths. That's not the same, because in fire,
But
you're still in fire. You're creating that adrenaline,
but
but there is a pattern and a
nah, the
rhythm that
the
is
difference
allowing you
between
to
the
get that.
fire breath and off of what you just saying off of the huffing and puffing is the movement of the diaphragm. In fire breathing,
Right.
yeah,
That's
but
why I
that's
said it's
literally that's what I'm
different.
saying.
Yeah, I
So
said it
it's
was
the huffing and puffing without the movement of that it spikes the level. That's why I said when you're breaking it down, it's either upper or it's a downer. You feel me? So which one is the
right.
problem? The opposite is going to be the solution. You get what I mean? So when you're not taking the full breath, because you way too up, you feel me? You got to take that full breath, that deep breathing. It brings it down. If you too down, you got to take them
Mm-hmm.
fire breaths to get it up. You get what I mean? So it's
Right.
yeah,
Exactly.
but yeah, it's yeah.
Yes. So tell the people where they can contact you, what you got going on, all of the
Well,
things.
let's see. I got a book on Amazon. I got a course that I'm working on. And we actually have a breathing and mental health thing coming up as well. Um, yeah, a couple of different
Yeah.
things. So just follow me on Instagram, Grandmaster Bay, or the Energy Coach, INNER, regular G Coach. And yeah, different little things coming. So
Yes, it stays on. Aren't you doing a
yeah, but
clinical trials?
that's a more of a private thing. Yeah, that's more. Yeah,
So
nah.
y'all can
Yeah,
on
nah.
that.
That's yeah. I'll let y'all know the results of it, but yeah, that's more selective.
Yeah. Yeah. So hit them up. Stay tuned, because we are going to be doing that workshop around breathing. We'll have the flyer up by next week. So yeah, it was great talking to you. Like I said, we could talk for hours. Y'all don't got hours. So we'll talk to you next time. Stay tuned for the next episode next Sunday. Yeah, it's great. Follow me at A Pocket of Sunshine right here, or on any of my other social medias. Follow him. He got shenanigans
Many
too.
shenanigans. Oh, now
So
they finally stopped. All right, I'm
follow him
back
for
outside to the sunshine.
right. Well, follow him for the well approach to life, and have a great night.